What a world, DJ on the mic. What coming in with a fresh deck profile for you. We got Jesmon GX Turbo up in this bad boy. So if this is a video for you as I go through my deck ratios and all that good stuff, then stick around and enjoy. And if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, make sure you subscribe and turn the notification bell because I do videos on the regs. Right, let's get straight into it right now. We're going in with the eggs. It's going to be something a little bit different. It's going to be your BT13 Jesmon. This card right here is basically, you know, the main thing we're focused on is just reaching that top end of Jesmon. So what we want to be doing is reducing the cost of that Evo, which when attacking, if this Digimon is a level 7, gain 1 memory. That is obviously going to be crucial for us just to reduce that cost. With the new support that Jesmon's got, it's quite easy to gain the memory back, so you're leaving your opponent with very little memory to respond to your board state. So we just simply run the 4 Jesmon eggs as standard. Going on to the rookies. So rookies, we're keeping it kind of light up in here. Obviously for the main hook line, we go in with the BT6 Searcher as standard. I mean, you don't need to run no less. It's going to be a primary searcher in order for you to get your core pieces. The fact that you're able to net 2 is such value. Definitely want to be running that at 4. We do run the new BT13 Hookmon. This is such an enabler and really helps us gain that memory when we do play a Systemon from, you know, effect, or if we just hard play a Systemon. And then on top of that, your turn, when you play a Digimon with Systemon in its name, this Digimon can digivolve into a Bow Hookmon in the hand without paying costs, which is just an absolute free Evo. So you'll see my actual Systemon ratios slightly differ to essentially facilitate the new strategy what this new line has provided us. And then we go in with the 2 Solomon, obviously a really staple in order for us to prevent players from reducing play costs. Obviously rolling out deck is a thing, as well as, you know, people think that Defex is not going to be popping out. I really do think it's still going to be relevant. So just having Solomon there just to ensure that we've secured our board state and really makes it hard for the opponent to someone answer it is definitely key. Then going to the Systemons. So for the level 3s, we go with the 1 Systemon Blanc, which grants blocker. And then we run the 3 starter deck Blancs, which you can basically trash a card from your hand and then draw 2. These are going to be crucial for you to essentially get pieces into your hand without really sacking off any of the core pieces that you need, because you are focusing on the GX top end. You want to make sure that you can actually able to tuck in Digimon to get the full effect, especially obviously with your Jesmons and your Genkumon X, as well as just essentially playing to the inheritables that we gain from the new hook line, which reduces the cost. So effectively we could get this down for 2 or 1. It really just depends on when you do drop it, but really good card right here. Also grants that nice bit of protection because it does enable us to get decoy on black and red Digimon if essentially a Hookmon in its name or All Night in its traits in play, which is going to be good for obviously our top end combo, which we just want to make sure that we don't get ourselves clapped. So that concludes for the rookies. We do run 14, but like I say, we are pretty light on the essentially the hook line, which we are only running 8. So we're getting a little bit greedy with this. Then going on to the champions. So champions, once again, pretty hefty. But in terms of the actual hook line, we do run the new BT13 Bow Hook at 4. And then we run the OG BT6 Bow Hook at 3. This is what you want to be seeing so much, just because once again, similarly inheritable to the BT13 hook, you're able to obviously get a memory if you play a Systemon out, which is going to be handy. But your turn, when you play a Digimon with Systemon in its name, this Digimon may digivolve into a Savior Hookmon in the hand for the Digivolution cost. When this Digimon would digivolve by this effect, reduce the Digivolution cost by 2. Really good. Getting into your Savior for the cost of 1 is such a powerful play. But obviously you are going to be paying the cost for, you know, triggering this effect if you are going to use a Systemon. But there is cool combos that you can do to essentially kind of get a free Evo in regards to going into Savior completely, whilst obviously getting another Digimon out on the field, which is just so good. Then obviously we just do run the BT6 Bow Hook. This is just good for obviously sniping floodgates. Its DP is actually decent as well. It's 6k, which is definitely handy for us to kind of get out of the range of being sniped. So yeah, definitely do want to be running that at a 3. You could run 4-4, but I feel like 7 is just a really good spot with the hook online. So going on to the sisters, so we do run the 3 BT6 CLs, BT10 CL at 2, and also your starter deck CL at 2. So one good thing about this is obviously the memory refund that you do get back, which obviously you're going to be playing this for free, gives that nice little DP boost as well, but really handy when you kind of get into your top end combo, meaning that you could obviously claw back memory, and it really does facilitate your Chimeramon plays. The additional 2k DP really does come up because natively without that system on, you're not really getting that many DP boosts. Not that's going to be lingering anyway. So definitely run that of a 3 of. You can flick between the BT10 CL, which essentially is your kind of like your X antibody of the deck, but searchable. Really powerful, especially with the new mechanics that we do have with the new hook online, is because you're able to essentially trigger evos, which is pretty nice. So effectively, in combination with this, you could throw this out to then trigger this effect for it to evo into a savior for essentially the cost of 1, and then you can trigger this effect to then evo into a Digimon with a raw nitrate, which obviously for us is going to be our Jesmon. So obviously a bit taxing on the memory, but you can really turbo your way up and, you know, start going ham. So really nice card. Could knock it up to 3 if you do want to. It really just depends on what you're wanting to do. I feel like being a bit safer with just getting that memory back for you to do some Chimeramon plays and ensure that you've just demolished their board is more of a safer approach for me. And then we do run, obviously, the starter deck CL. Really good for that reboot. Good searcher on top of that, because we do obviously gain memory from our inheritables. You know, using this to essentially, you know, play for maybe the cost of 2 or 3. It means that we can obviously pick out our Digimon that are kind of out of archetype. So for us, obviously, it's going to be that Gankamon X. If you want to obviously throw some more toolbox Digimon in there, obviously we do have the Craniumon, we also have Alphamon there as well, so this really helps just in order for you to kind of grab that card if you need to. But the reboot's obviously going to be powerful because we do want to restand our GX, because that boy is a big boy. Big boy. So that's for the champions. So let's go to the ultimates. Ultimates, it's got to be the new 4 of the BT13 Savior, 1 of the starter deck, and then the OG BT6 Savior, and then we round that off with a 2 Chimera, keeping it fancy. So this right here is once again really strong. Obviously it does depend on what inheritors that you do have, because effectively going into a Jesmon for pretty much next to nothing is going to be key for you just playing that system on. The fact that you can reduce the cost by 2. Our top end is more focused to the Jesmon X line. So effectively, when we're playing out system on, and the reason why obviously I'm using the BT6 CLs more is the fact that I can actually just maintain turn more comfortably and just obviously control the board, and also then go straight to my top end and so forth. So really strong card right here. Inheritable is the same as the starter deck one. You're able to play a system on from Handle Trash, which once again just facilitates some awesome plays that we can do just to, you know, widen our board state. Obviously we already know about the OG, well, one of the OGs, which is going to be the starter deck Savior Hook. Really cool card. Obviously for us, we're kind of more chilling in the back, so this is the reason why I don't necessarily kind of have this running anymore, even though obviously now we could effectively run Jesmon Tribal if we wanted to. But this is still decent, more of a search target. But ideally, we are using that for mainly its inheritable, which, like I said, is similar to this. Or if we do happen to be out, at least then, you know, we can attack unsuspended when digivolve effect, which is handy. And then the BT6 Savior, still a really strong card. Some awesome interactions that you could do with the new line. Obviously, turbo up from your bow hook. When you drop the system on that, reduce the cost by 2, so obviously it's only cost you 1, and then you trigger that when digivolve effect to play a sister. For us, we can obviously play the system on BT6 system on CL, gain another memory, keep turn, that's pretty much cost us nothing. If you do happen to have a Master Disciple and you've already cracked that, you know, you've pretty much already covered the cost completely as just a free evo, and then you've obviously netted the memory if you do play the BT6 CL, or you happen to play another CL, which obviously helps you kind of search more targets and so forth. So really strong card. Obviously it's inheritable, it's still strong, especially if you happen to keep turn with GX. I mean, this boy's checking for days, so you know it still has to be ran. It's another savior target. It got put on the restriction list for a reason. Why not run it? And then lastly, it's got to be the boy Kimmy B up in here. I tell you, Chimeramon, I tried it at 1, I missed it instantly. This is your comeback card. Like, I feel like if you run it less, you might as well not run it at all. Really cool card just to have, just to get back in the game. Abuse that board state that you're building off of your inheritables. You know, you got system ons for days. Why not use them? And this is what this boy is here for. Also, a little cool combination as well is if you do happen to DNA, and depending on what your board state is, this does actually help your BT13 Jesmon just to increase its sniping potential, which is going to be handled. Say if you've only got 2 Digimon out on your field, and then obviously you've evoed into Jess, you know, decreasing that by additional 2k can just absolutely be beneficial for BT13 Jesmon to actually snipe that stack that you want to get rid of before you even commence attacking and so forth. So really cool card. I definitely do recommend running it at 2. If you are running it at 1, I honestly, you might as well not. So that concludes for the ultimates. Let's get on to the megas. The megas, it's quite hefty, guys. It's a very hefty tour package. More because obviously we are going to be tucking a lot of Digimon underneath our GX, so it is pretty key how these ratios are looking. But you know, stay with me on this. We go with the free Jesmon GX. We've got to have the 1 Blitz Jess as standard, and then we also run the new BT13 Jess. So this right here is going to be your main facilitator for, you know, those awesome plays. The fact that you obviously want digivolving, you can play system on out for, you know, for free, which is going to be handy. You can obviously net memory and so forth. Obviously, like I've already mentioned, the BT6Ls are really handy for that. And then you're able to attack unsuspended, and you gain an additional 2k DP. It means that you can actually just deal with the opponent's board whilst doing heavy damage when you are going into your Jesmon GX. Really cool card. Obviously, if we do go into obviously our Blitz Jess and we do use the BT10 CL, obviously we can literally just combo into this there and, you know, even get more system on plays out. But I still value the starter deck one just for that Blitz. If we want to be heavily aggressive, if we don't happen to have the GX despite actually running a fair bit of GX in this build, we can still do so, and we can still play with the memory of shenanigans of the new line, which is just going to be helpful for us. Getting that additional security check does help quite a bit. Like if you was just going to solely go into obviously your Jess X, you do kind of miss out on a little bit of a security check, but you do kind of secure a turn 2 kill, and that's what this deck is all about. It's not full OTK, it's a turn 2 kill being the main win con there. Then lastly, we do run obviously the Jesmon BT13. This is really growing on me. This right here is really growing on me, and the potential that it can do, especially if you do tuck it underneath your Jesmon GX and you've got a hefty board state. You can literally just obliterate their stack or their board. It's really handy because when digivolving and then also on play, so if you need to just hard slam this bad boy down just to get rid of some Digimon, you can do. It's a nice little panic button. Choose any number of your opponent's Digimon so their DP is total to 6k and delete them. For each other Digimon, add 2k to the maximum this DP based deletion effect can delete, which is pretty sick. If you manage to get 3 Digimon out, so you've got a board of 4, effectively this can delete 12k. Obviously if you just have your, you know, just your essentially yourself or 3 Digimon in total, 10k. Obviously, like I mentioned before, obviously we do have the Chimeramon tech in there, so reaching that and just picking off key threats is pretty decent. And then also, just once again, a nice tuck target, because it does have that when digivolving effect with GX. And the main thing is that these are able to kind of boost GX in some form of way, bar this one. And then alterns for each of your other Digimon with Systemon in its name, or Royal Knights in its traits, all of your Digimon get 1000 DP. Does come up quite nicely. A nice little DP boost is pretty sick. Can't deny that. Then we do go in with the 2 Ganku. So 2 Ganku X is pretty handy in this format. We're going to be running into a lot of Mirage, a lot of Shine Grey. They are the boogeymen of this format, and Ganku X just kind of helps with both of those. One, we're able to get a nice additional spawn of a Digimon, which is obviously going to be our Systemon, which is handy. And then from there, all of our board cannot be DP reduced or bounced. Massive right there between those two particular matchups. So Ganku is definitely best in slot. Like I say, you could mix it up. We obviously do have Craniumon, which stops us being punished by Digimon effects, which is nice for a turn. We also have the Alphamon, which is a pretty saucy tech when you are stacking it under your GXs here, that we do run at 3, is because you stack that underneath, and then Alphamon's effect actually stacks another Digimon with X antibody trait or Royal Knight. So you can actually put another GX underneath that if you wanted to, which then facilitates probably a pretty mean OTK right there, because you could suddenly swing in for like 4 checks, because obviously Jesmon GX's effect is that you get a security check per Royal Knight in its stack. Massive. Absolutely massive. So the thing that I do like about this top end, even though it's quite heavy on top end, one, it's keeping our security a little bit spicy. Yes, we may be a bit prone to bricking. That is definitely a thing. Though we do have cards that can help us draw. Being the thing, we have increased our starter deck Blancs, because ideally we do want to be throwing some sisters out just to kind of get that draw, and also just get for some cheeky pokes, which is good. Applying a bit of pressure, which is handy. So that's why we do run the Ganku at 2. Feel like it's very important. You can even evo into just Ganku if you need to. It still facilitates the Jesmon GX play, which we obviously want to go into. But the main thing is obviously making sure that we're going to be, 1, able to block, and 2, we can't be bounced or DP reduced. Then obviously we can see we do run the 4 GX. 4? Whew, man, I ain't got the wallet for the 4. 3 Jesmon GXs. So Jesmon GX is such a powerhouse of a card for what it does. Obviously at 15k. In this archetype, it just really, it's basically abusing the toolbox that it's got right here. It can basically use any when digivolving effect of the Royal Knight that he's stacked underneath, if they have one. And then from there, able to blitz, which once again is going to be handy. So in combination with using these two, you are able to obviously kind of select your target, because you can attack unsuspended. You can go for those heavy checks with your boy, which is going to be nice. And then on top of that, it's got piercing, it's got blitz, and also got blocker. So like I mentioned before, we do have the Systemon CL starter deck version to help us reboot, because that's one thing it doesn't have, unfortunately. So obviously we do want to kind of make sure that his reboot for the turn means that the opponent has to then answer your board. Like, they can do whatever they need to be doing, but they need to answer your board. In combination of having bounce and DP reduction protection, and having this as a big blocker, it's very hard to essentially get around that, because most of the opponent's effects, say like for Mirage, it does actually require them to attack to essentially do stuff. So at that point, I'm going to block, which then will ruin their stack. So it's very, very handy that you do have this. Obviously, with the Mirage matchup, they do have a level 5, which essentially you can't block it, unfortunately. But at that point, you know, we do kind of have like we have a variety of big Digimon that's going to be in there, so they need to ensure that they essentially have jamming, which they can actually apply with the Tamer. So that concludes for the actual top end, being the Megas. Like I say, very hefty top end. And you know, I won't lie, you know, there might be times that you might brick, but you do have to be somewhat greedy. It's very rare that I had a hard brick in testing, but I can't say that you may not brick. It's not brick proof. No deck is brick proof. It's going to happen. So lastly, for the options, we're keeping it simple and clean here. We're just going in with the 4 Master Disciple. I mean, this card just does so much in regards to searching out your pieces, reducing distribution cost for your next Evo, a searcher, same effects that comes out of security as well. Such a really good card. Honestly, definitely a 4 of. I did have Mem Boost in the build, but I had just a Rogue 1 Mem Boost, and that's when I was like, you know what? I actually need to see more of my top end, because I felt like, because I was tucking so many, and if the opponent could answer my board state, then I felt like I didn't have many jesters to kind of go back into at that point. So I actually took out the Rogue 1 Red Mem Boost and put another Jesmon in, just to kind of ensure that my consistency is nice. That flex spot could be literally be another rookie if you want. I mean, 10 rookies in total for your main Digimon that can actually go on top of your egg is a little bit low. But like I say, with Jesmon, you kind of got to be a little bit greedy in a sense. We do obviously have an amazing search that can just get your targets out to kind of unbrick your hand. And then obviously we do have your Master Disciples, which is a good choking tool, as well as just enabling us to kind of set up our trash, fix our hand, and then also kind of get back in the game, especially with obviously the new mechanics that we do have with the hook and also the bow hook there as well. So really awesome card. Definitely run that at 4. If you run that less, you crazy. You straight up crazy. But guys, that is your boy done. I am pretty happy to actually do a physical deck profile. It's been a while since I've done it, but I feel like with Jess, it's one of my favorite decks that I've really I have been collecting over the time. So I just kind of wanted just to showcase it out, really, being the thing. But if you enjoyed the deck profile, and if you prefer these kind of deck profiles, just let me know in the comments. You know, I'd be more than happy to do more physical deck profiles if you enjoy this kind of format. But guys, stay safe, stay fly, and I'll catch you next one. Digidread off the mic.